Hey, what's up everybody? You're watching VenomousNinetails. Today I want to get into the topic of my health. So before we get into that, you've probably noticed up until like maybe the past month or so, I've probably been on Twitch a lot less as a viewer, and I've probably not been making as many YouTube videos. So I have not been able to get outside to vlog because I've been too tired to get out of the house. I'm anemic, explains a lot. I'm mildly anemic, mild to moderate, not severely anemic, but still affects a lot of stuff when it comes to my energy levels. And here's the other thing. I happen to also be vitamin D3 deficient. So if I don't get enough sun exposure, I don't have energy. And in order to work on my apparel or my branding or stuff like that, I need to be in front of a computer, which my room doesn't get a lot of light. So I've been trying to force myself to go out more, to run errands, and a lot of them are errands that I've kept postponing. But at some point, this just becomes beyond idiotic, and it's compounded by the lack of access to my car. It's in the driveway. I start it to keep it going. I drive it around the neighborhood, and I pull it back in. I also need to put gas because I have a smog appointment coming up. Also need to see if I can get that rescheduled from the 17th to the 18th, because 17th is Sunday. I might need my car for that. Like, I don't think I can go in for like a 30-minute smog. The thing about my health, I've been fighting a diabetes diagnosis when I take my blood sugar, and it's typically like 118 to 121. Normally about 118 fasting, and after eating it's about 150. 150 after eating is normal, it's not pre-diabetic. But when people try to diagnose me as diabetic, no one cares about my blood glucose, which, by the way, is how you diagnose diabetes. And it has to be consistently high. It can't be a temporary fluctuation. But I've noticed my blood sugar has been a lot more stable since I've cut out artificial sweeteners and also cut out seed oils. Those things help. The other thing is my blood work is not matching. There's other reasons A1C can be high, and using just A1C and BMI in order to diagnose someone as diabetic is wrong. It's actually uneducated, because I could be fat and not be diabetic and just have anemia and be dehydrated and get poor quality sleep. And guess what? I started treatment for weight loss. I went outside of my primary care physician, I went outside of my insurance, and this cost me money that probably shouldn't be spending. It's not that much considering I have other expenses that relate to my income. I started treatment for ipamorelin. I got a 3-month supply of it. I'm trying to lose weight with that, as well as like ipamorelin should keep my body from eating its own muscle mass. Surprise, surprise, my body's eating its own muscle mass. Even though for the most part, my blood sugar is consistently at 118, what's probably happening is my body is not getting enough carbs. So it's breaking down muscle mass to produce carbs. And on top of that, my testosterone is on the low end of normal. But normal, it's a combined male-female tanner. So for both men and women, let's consider the low end of normal, which is 200. And I'm like in the 270s. I got it back to 300 at some point. But now it's like probably back to the 270s. It's pretty bad. 200, that's considered normal as the testosterone of an 80-year-old man. That's not healthy. I'm 27 years old. I'm almost 30. My testosterone levels should not be this low. It should be above 800. When you actually look at the age-based table, male testosterone levels, I should be anywhere from 800 to 1,000 for my age range. And early 20s, you should be like 1,000 plus. I'm in my late 20s, I should have 800 plus. This is stupid. But no one really cares to listen to me when I complain or ask questions. I'm kind of sick of my primary care physicians, to be completely honest. This isn't helpful for anyone. I have a peptide therapy, the ipamorelin. I'm taking it for weight loss. I've actually very quickly regained some of my muscle mass, which confirms my theory that my body was eating its own muscle mass to produce carbs due to not getting enough of them to actually build muscle. Irony there, because the more carbs you have while you work out, the less stressed you are to actually build muscle and recovery, which is why they prescribe high calorie diets. It's also like why when I had my heart transplant, like they gave me like a whole ass rotisserie chicken with barbecue sauce. It's because of that. And keep in mind, like, that was 16 years ago. I was 11. Well, I was 10 and a half, about to turn 11 that year. My birthday's in July, transplant's February 14th. So every February 14th is my transplant anniversary. But it should also be it should be a romantic time for me. But hey, if I don't have a Valentine this year, big whoop. I'm taking my health into my own hands and taking control, because realistically, I'm tired of leaving it in the hands of like my primary care physicians, who are kind of sheep, and that don't also are kind of narcissistic about it and don't talk to their patients. And I'm tired of nothing ever getting done. I will now finally be able to lose the weight. I'm finally now going to be lean, going to have abs. Essentially, I'm going to be as skinny as I've always wanted to be. I do have legit body goals. I do want like the more broad shoulders on the shoulder blades and tight toned V-line in the front. I want to be super cut. I have legit body goals, and there's a certain way I want to look. If I ever do cosplay Cloud, I want to make sure I look good holding like that giant sword. I want to make sure the shoulder blades pop. It probably sounds really vain to a lot of you. I've known my whole life I am not healthy, and I've never taken offense to it or being called fat. I've taken offense to it when it got associated by my name, and I developed a complex to that, ironically, due to my mother. If someone's like, hey, Josh, you're fat. Okay, I don't give a shit. Like, I'm trying to lose weight. My mom's like, fat Josh? So you don't like it when they call you fat Josh? I'm like, why are you making this to a fat Albert joke? None of the kids growing up were bullying me about this. You just did as my mother. And like, you probably think, oh, it's super well-intentioned, just trying to make sure you're not getting bullied. No. You'll think that until you've actually lived with her. It's a little more complicated than that. By the time I was in high school, I couldn't stand to look at myself in the mirror. And I would actually dry heave or gag looking in a mirror. I'm pretty sure I developed an undiagnosed body dysmorphia. I knew it's not the way I wanted to look. But also, being fat has put me at way too many health risks. People trying to wrongfully diagnose me for crap because I'm fat, which is a health risk in and of itself, because then they prescribe the wrong treatment, which could jack you up just because they're conflating symptoms. I'm tired of it. It's not doing me any good. I'm trying to take my health back in control, make sure I have the energy and strength to do things. Also, I want to get back into martial arts. I want to make sure I can practice martial arts without hurting myself. And I want to actually take up maybe Krav Maga this time. I know a little bit just because some of my friends are MMA instructors, but I want to take up Krav Maga, maybe Ninpo. I know a little bit of Ninpo. I know a little bit of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and I know a little bit of Muay Thai. Not a lot, but enough to hold my own in a street fight. I know a little bit of Wing Chun. But I was taught a lot of stuff because a lot of my friends are martial arts instructors, early college, late high school, and they would teach me some things. So I know how to defend myself, but I'm by no means an expert. The one thing I can do really, really well is Kenjutsu. I can wield a katana pretty well. That's the one thing I can do. I could actually easily learn multiple kata for the katana. It's not hard for me. And it's not hard for me to copy the footwork. And it would mostly be for tamashigiri. Point is, I'm taking back control of my body and away from the medical industry. And I'm taking back control of my health. I'm just tired of people prescribing the wrong treatments, telling me to watch my diet when I eat relatively healthy. Most of my sugar comes from the carbs in my meals. It comes from fruit, vegetables. I do eat sweets. I don't eat them in exorbitant amounts. And that's not my common way of eating. I'm not the kind of fat ass that eats cake 3 times a day or with every meal. I have maybe a couple of sweets or salty snacks a day, and I have maybe one dessert. It's the same way a lot of skinny people eat. And I'm tired of people assuming I eat different than healthy people. I'm sorry, but your nutrition has done jack for me. The problem was never nutritional. In fact, I ended up being starved of necessary sugar for my body to function, that my body started eating its own muscle mass which also depletes energy, I would have ended up diabetic anyway from the rate at which my body was eating its own. I don't have diabetes, and I can finally stop my body from its own muscle mass with ipamorelin. Like, I'm sorry to say, but I genuinely think people were stupid, and I genuinely think they effed up my